recording, start the game. Oh, I guess this bit isn't necessary. That's fine. Okay, so Control Function Alt down. There we go. Let's empty this. Turn up the volume. Start the game. Okay. Blue player versus red computer. Let's try that. All right, so now I want to read the manual. I did this yesterday for 20 minutes and then I realized it wasn't recording. So I'll start again from the beginning. So we got introduction, game overview, how it highlights stuff that's, I guess, changed in 2.7. Game interface, version 2.7 changes. Design your scenarios. Okay. Designer notes, hints, FAQ, tactics 101. Okay, so this seems like the stuff that should be more at the beginning, but all right. Game overview. Okay, let's start with the introduction. Introduction. Decisive Action is a realistic, tactical simulation of modern division and core level combat. It is not a game for the casual or beginner wargamer. The unique military feel of Decisive Action sets it apart from any previous commercial wargame. Based on an earlier computer game designed by the designer to teach tactics at the U.S. Army Command and General Staff College, Decisive Action models all 7 battlefield operating systems: maneuver, fires, intelligence, air defense, mobility and survivability, that's one thing, command and control, that's another single thing, and logistics. Decisive Action simulates the fluid nature of modern maneuver warfare and the importance of the art of command. To be successful, each player must adroitly synchronize all of his resources and focus them against the decisive points on the battlefield. The game replicates the friction and fog of war that still resides on the information age battlefield through its system of simultaneous movement and the double-blind approach to modeling intelligence. Okay? Initially, you may find the game design very challenging, since it breaks the mold of traditional wargaming. However, with careful study of this user manual and continual practice, you will feel very comfortable with the game system in a short period of time. The game offers players a wide variety of playing options. Players may assume the role of either the red or blue commander and fight a computer opponent, challenge a friend to a play-by-email game, or hot seat a game on a single computer. Although the computer opponent is tough, your true skill as a tactical commander can only be tested against a live opponent. The powerful game editor empowers you to build almost any modern scenario you can imagine. You can use the 6 included terrain databases and tactical maps, or you can import your own BMP JPEG image to create your own terrain database. The unit editor and scenario editor permit the user to set the environmental conditions and build any modern force in the world today. Cool. That's very cool. The weapons editor allows you to create or modify existing weapon systems. Also very cool. So like basically this could be used to model the current war in Ukraine. That's my understanding of what he's saying here. To help players better understand the nature of modern combat, the Decisive Action CD contains electronic copies, PDF format, of 4 key U.S. Army manuals: Military Operational Graphs and Terms, Division Operations, Intelligence Preparation of the Battlefield, and Tactics. Through careful study of these references, players will quickly grasp the key concepts necessary to use decisive action to its fullest potential. With this game, both experienced military personnel and civilian gamers will gain great insights into the mechanics of modern ground tactical warfare. Decisive Action's use of military graphics, terms, and maps, and its unique replication of division and corps combat operations and military processes such as intelligence preparation of the battlefield, makes it the wargame of choice for military professionals and serious students of modern warfare. System requirements, installation instructions, okay, done with that. Game overview. Game scale. Game scale. Each terrain square is 1 kilometer in size. Terrain is modeled for movement and combat. Each game turn represents 1 to 2 hours of time. So this scale is the same as Panzer campaigns. In Panzer campaigns, each hex is 1 kilometer, and a turn is 2 hours of time. Icons generally represent brigades and battalions. Specialty companies and platoons are also replicated. Okay. Gameplay. Decisive Action is a turn-based game that uses a unique double-blind approach, hidden units, and simultaneous movement to replicate the fog of war and friction that exists on a modern tactical battlefield. Each game turn is divided into 11 phases. These are A, the planning phase. Players assess the situation, adjust their plan, and issue all orders. During this phase, the player attempts to visualize the battlefield, see the enemy, see friendly forces, and see the terrain, while staying focused on mission accomplishment. Although the terrain representation and friendly situation is accurately depicted, the player will only see those enemy forces that have been identified through the Friendly Intelligence Collection Plan, represented by the location of friendly named areas of interest, direct contact with the enemy, or through signals intercepts. The next player action following the planning phase is dependent on the type of game being played. Player versus computer. If you are playing against the computer, press the advanced timer button to complete the resolution of the game turn. Player versus player, hot seat. Each player can take his or her turn planning and issuing orders. When the first player is done, he should exit to the main menu. The second player can then take his turn. When both are finished, exit to the main menu and press the advanced timer button. PBM game. Follow the instructions contained under the Help PBM instructions menu. Procedures will vary based on the player side and game turn. Multiplayer. Follow the instructions contained in Appendix A for joining or hosting a multiplayer game. AI planning phase. During this phase, if your opponent is the computer, the AI commander assesses the situation, adjusts the AI developed plan, and issues all orders. Okay. NBC, Nuclear Biological Chemical Check. All units remaining in areas containing persistent chemical agents will suffer additional losses. C4ISR, Command, Control, Communications, Computers, Command, Control, Communications, Computers, Intelligence, Surveillance and Target Acquisition, and Reconnaissance phase. During this phase, initial intelligence and electronic warfare activities and command and control checks occur. Electronic warfare and PSYOPs attacks take place. Units that are affected adversely by these checks or attacks will suffer a reduction in movement and or combat capability for the remainder of the turn. Fires phase. All planned artillery attacks, airstrikes, and engineer operations are conducted. All planned artillery attacks, airstrikes, and engineer operations. Artillery attacks, airstrikes, and engineer operations are conducted. Each turn, the computer randomly selects which side initiates these attacks first. Combat losses, suppression effects, and morale losses are immediately assessed. Okay. Movement phase. The computer cycles through 300 movement pulses and moves all units simultaneously. Movement pulses. I haven't encountered that before. Every unit does not move during each pulse. Instead, units move during various pulses based on their mobility type and length of their movement route. Aviation units that enter enemy ADA range will be engaged during the movement phase. Ground units that enter an enemy ground unit's footprint during movement will stop immediately. It is important that players watch for enemy movement during this phase. Enemy helicopters and UAVs may be briefly visible as they transit the battlefield, even if they are not engaged by ADA. This type of observation may be an indicator of an enemy air assault. This seems strange to me because I would expect there would be like a log of these things, so you don't have to just watch out for it during the replay. That seems weird. G. Ground combat phase. All ground combat takes place. Results are immediately displayed in the message box. Okay. Since ground combat takes place simultaneously, individual losses are not deducted until all ground combat is finished. Reset phase. Unit status is checked and routine adjustments are made to units. Logistics phase takes place. Reset phase. Unit status is checked and ground combat phase. All ground combat takes place. Results are immediately displayed in the message box. Since ground combat takes place simultaneously, individual losses are not deducted until all ground combat is finished. Okay. Reset phase. Unit status is checked and routine adjustments are made to units. Logistics phase takes place during the planning phase in version 2.7. Okay. Reinforcements phase. Designated units arrive at their planned arrival location in accordance with the reinforcement schedule. Reinforcement. Okay. Victory conditions phase. The computer determines victory status. At the end of the final game turn, the computer will display all information about both sides. Okay. I get it. Okay, next. Game screen, right? I have this right? Game scale, game play, game screen. Yeah. Okay. Game screen. Number 1, game menu. Selected commands can be accessed using the menu. 2, command buttons. 3, message box. The message box performs 2 critical functions. It displays information about the active unit, and it displays combat reports. During the planning phase, each time the player accesses a unit, the message box displays information about the unit that helps the player better understand that unit's current status. During the execution of a game turn, combat reports flash across the message box. Depending on the type of game, player versus player or player versus computer, information may be filtered to prevent players from reading each other's reports. Some reports are only briefly displayed while the turn is being played out. However, during the next planning phase, the sitrep can be used to review all friendly reports and enemy signals intercepts from the previous game turn. Friendly reports, okay. Game turn, I wonder if that includes like spotting enemy UAVs. And anyway, game turn is number 4, that's this blue one. Displays the current game turn. The box is blue and the sun is displayed during daytime turns. The box is black and the moon is displayed during nighttime turns. Okay. Number 5 is time. Displays the current military time using a 24-hour clock. Number 6 is the date. Displays the current date. Number 7 is the wind direction. Displays the direction that the wind is coming from. Number 8 is the terrain classification window. It displays the type of terrain located beneath the mouse pointer. Number 9 is the chemical classification window. Indicates the presence of persistent chemical agents located on the terrain directly beneath the current position of the mouse pointer. Number 10 is the unit status box. Number 10, okay, this is the green rectangle. It displays the unit name, mission, combat effectiveness, and logistics status. Name is the first line, mission is the second line, combat effectiveness is the third line, and logistics status is the fourth line. Okay. The color coding reflects the status. Green is no problems, yellow is some problems, red is significant problems, and black is serious problems. And number 11 is the current unit, the current active unit. Activate a unit by either clicking on it or pressing the next last unit button within the player menu. Don't know what the player menu is. The following information is graphically depicted for each active unit. The unit footprint is shown as a black circle. Okay, that's that black circle there. Unit facing, red lines drawn from the center of a unit to the edge of its footprint depict the frontal facing of the unit. So I think that there's like a thicker red line that you can see there. That's my guess. That's what they're talking about. Minimum range circle. Okay. Number 12, minimum range circle. Oh, that's on this image. Is it? No, it's not. Inner red circle with crosshatch. Oh, okay, that's this one, number 12. Displays the minimum range for some weapons. The area that selected weapons cannot engage targets because it is too close to the weapon. For example, ADA, artillery missiles, and rockets. I think that's supposed to have a comma after that. So artillery, comma, missiles, comma, and rockets. Okay, got it. Got it. Number 13, the latitude-longitude window displays the current position of the point beneath the mouse in latitude, longitude. Okay. Number 14, UTM grid window. If active, it displays the current position of the point beneath the mouse in UTM grid. Okay, I don't know what that is. Maximum range circle, number 15. The maximum weapons range of some units, for example, artillery and ADA. Map window. ADA is air defense artillery, so it's like anti-air, SAMs, stuff like that. Map window shows the entire map area. Navigate the map. Oh, that's number 16. You should have a number 16 here. Shows the entire map area. Navigate the map within the viewport by clicking your mouse within the smaller map window. Got it. Unit icons. Unit icons represent battalions, brigades, specialty companies and platoons, and headquarters units. Okay. You can access a unit by either clicking on its icon or by pressing the next or last unit button. Accessing a friendly unit enables you to review all current information and issue orders to the unit. Your ability to access an enemy unit and obtain information about Your ability to access an enemy unit and obtain information about that enemy unit is a function of the amount of intelligence that you have collected about that unit. A. Unit footprint. The unit's footprint is represented on the game map by a black circle with diagonal lines surrounding the unit icon. The footprint indicates the volume of space occupied by a unit and is influenced by its direct fire weapon systems. Although the combat indicator is drawn from unit icon to unit icon, center of mass of the unit, it is representative of the entire force within the footprint engaging an enemy force within its footprint. Got it. So, right, okay. The size of a unit. So all they're saying here is that you're going to have these two circles. When you have one unit shooting at another unit, you're going to have two circles, and the line is going to go from the center of the first circle to the center of the second circle. But that line represents the entirety of the first circle, or I guess maybe whatever portion of the first circle is able to shoot at whatever portion of the second circle it can see. Anyway, the size of a unit's footprint is a function of its size and its strength. Got it. Interactions with a unit's footprint facilitate various actions within the simulation. Ground combat occurs when footprints between opposing forces overlap. As a unit suffers losses, its footprint shrinks in diameter. The shrinking footprint represents the consolidation that occurs in a unit that has been attrited and the corresponding difficulty that the attrited unit has controlling its original battle space. During gameplay, this makes for some interesting effects. Strong attacking units can eventually penetrate a defense and bypass weakened defending units. Interesting. Listed below are the maximum and minimum diameters of the unit footprints. Brigade size has a maximum diameter of 20 kilometers and a minimum diameter of 12 kilometers. A battalion has a maximum diameter of 10 kilometers and a minimum diameter of 6 kilometers. Is that maximum and minimum based on attrition, or can you like change formations to make them bigger or smaller? A company has a maximum diameter of 5 kilometers and a minimum diameter of 3 kilometers. That seems large for a company. I've played combat mission scenarios where you'll have a company go down a single street in a city. You'll have multiple companies. Each company takes a street as you advance through the town. But I don't know. Maybe these are different. Maybe they're not just infantry companies. Maybe they're like armored companies. I don't know. Platoon is, and maybe this is like open ground. In a city, it would be different. I don't know. That's interesting. This is an interesting thing to learn more about, think about. Anyway, a platoon has a maximum diameter of 2 kilometers. That seems huge for a single platoon. And a minimum diameter of 2 kilometers. That's huge. That's a huge footprint for a platoon. I mean, I'd say in combat mission, you'll have an infantry platoon with a footprint of, gosh, I would say you want to keep things 25 yards away from each other, 25 meters away from each other. So you'd have 3 platoons, 25, 25, 25. Yeah, that's like 100 meters, 200, like less than 200 meters. And they're saying 200 kilometers, they're 2 kilometers. It's huge. Anyway, maybe it's a different kind. Maybe it's not an infantry platoon. The overlapping of footprints between friendly units during movement retards their movement. Okay. This represents a realistic aspect on the battlefield of a phenomenon known as friction. Units suffer losses when their footprints overlap with artillery fire and chemical attacks. Any unit whose footprint overlaps with an enemy named area of interest or overlaps with their opponent's footprint becomes visible to their opponent. That's interesting. That's weird. All you have to do is just put down this thing and you get like a free spotting of units in that area. That seems abstracted. Very abstracted. Okay. Interesting. I should note all of these things that seem weird to me. I mean, I guess it makes sense if he has limited ability to code the how it actually works. It's a simple abstraction. Anyway, units assigned a mission to perform security have their footprints represented by 3 circles versus 1. Okay? This reflects the purpose and nature of security missions, protecting the main body by providing early warning of enemy advance. This is accomplished by spreading the force across a larger area, usually in a linear fashion, and using indirect and direct fires as necessary to slow the enemy's movement. Although this one security mission does not adequately differentiate the nuances of the 3 U.S. Army doctrinal security tasks, cover, guard, and screen, okay? In 2 years of gameplay at the Army Staff College, field-grade Army officers preferred this simpler approach, okay? Unit range circles. Weapon ranges, maximum and minimum, are marked by 2 red concentric circles. The area between the open circle and the circle with the intersecting diagonal lines is the area that the weapon can fire. Note, surface-to-surface rockets and missiles have significant minimum ranges. Okay? The effective range of intelligence and electronic warfare sensors and PSYOPs effects are marked by a purple circle. The sensor range circle is only visible if the sensor or PSYOPs operation is active. Okay. The sensor range circle is only visible if the sensor or PSYOPs operation is active. Okay, got it. Unit type. Icons represent a unit of a particular type. The basic types are ADA, anti-tank. Okay, this is going to be in the same order. So this is ADA, anti-tank, armor. This is not artillery. This is mechanized infantry. Or no, this is cavalry. Aviation, lift and attack. This I don't recognize. I guess this would be a lift. This would be attack. I don't know. Yeah, this is not in the same order. Oh, it's numbered here. Okay. Aviation, lift and attack. Logistics, engineer, IEW, ground and aviation, headquarters, infantry, mechanized infantry, military police, NBC, smoke, PSYOPs, reconnaissance, special forces, and unmanned aerial vehicles. The unit types, with some exceptions, are the official military symbols for friendly and blue, enemy, red, friendly blue and enemy red units. Since 1997, diamond-shaped icons have represented enemy units. Operational terms, FM Field Manual 1-2, Operational Terms and Graphics, is the Army's primary reference for military symbols and terms. When color is available, blue represents friendly graphics and red represents enemy graphics. So number 1 is Air Defense Artillery, ADA. 2 is anti-tank. 3 is armor. 4 is armored cavalry. 5 is light cavalry. Okay. 6 is attack helicopter. Interesting. Okay. 7 is aviation. 8 is electronic warfare aviation. Interesting. 9 is unmanned aerial vehicle. Okay. 10 is light infantry. Okay. 11 is air assault infantry. Okay. 12 is mechanized infantry. Yep. 13 is combat engineer. I recognize that one from Panzer campaigns. 14, and also the anti-tank one I first saw in Panzer campaigns. Anyway, 14 is bridge engineer. 15 is artillery, also used in Panzer campaigns. 16 is self-propelled artillery, okay. 17 is rocket artillery, okay. 18 is electronic warfare. 19 is military police. 20 is special forces. 21 is psychological operations. Okay. 22 is nuclear, biological, chemical. 23 is logistics. 24 is command post or HQ. 25 is line of communication. Okay, don't know what that is. D, unit size. The symbol at the top of the unit icon indicates its size. 1 dot is a squad. 3 dots is a platoon. 1 line is a company. 2 lines is a battalion. 1 X is a brigade. 3 lines is a regiment, which is equivalent to a brigade in size. That's not the case in the Civil War. So that's interesting. An interesting change in usage. 7 is a, or sorry, 2 X's is a division. 3 X's is a corps. Combat power. The combat strength of a unit is reflected by the value of its base combat power and its current strength. Each unit's combat power is relative to other units of a like type. For example, an infantry brigade with a combat power of 40 is twice as powerful as an armor battalion with a combat power of 20. The categories of combat power are maneuver, artillery, air defense, and attack helicopter. I don't understand. Maneuver. Oh, okay. Okay, so even though this is infantry and this is armor, they are of a like type because they're both of type maneuver. You know, unlike, combat mission, you would think of one as infantry, the other one is armored. Here, they're both maneuver. And then you have artillery, air defense, and attack helicopter. Okay, interesting. Mobility. Each unit is rated for one type of mobility: foot, wheeled, tracked, or aviation. The speed that each unit maneuvers across the map is a function of its mobility type, the terrain, enemy contact, and friction as it passes through friendly forces. Okay? Logistics. Each unit expends logistics points during each game turn. Okay? The amount of logistics that is used is a function of unit type, mobility, and activity. When a unit's logistics level reaches 0, it cannot move or fight. Okay? Other unit attributes. Each unit is also modeled for other characteristics such as morale, fatigue, suppression, and command and control. The levels of each of these attributes can affect movement and combat. Okay? Morale, fatigue. These are both separate. These are separately modeled in Scourge of War or Take Command. Suppression. Suppression is modeled in Combat Mission, but not in Take Command. And command and control. This is also modeled in both Take Command or Scourge of War and Combat Mission. Okay, got it. Next. Right? I went to the bottom. There was nothing else. Yeah, nothing else. All right, 2.5. Terrain modeling. Terrain types. Each square kilometer has the attributes of one of 9 types of terrain. The terrain types are unrestricted, restricted, I don't know what those two mean, severely restricted, I don't know what that means, impassable, river. Okay, so I guess restricted just means, so it's like in Combat Mission where you'll have like open terrain, you'll have scattered trees that vehicles can pass through, but they pass through slowly. Severely restricted would be like another level above that. Impassable would be like in Combat Mission, you have woods that tanks cannot go through in the first CMX1, the first generation of the games. Okay, river, deep water, bridge, beach, and urban. So river versus deep water. I guess deep water is like ocean, and river, I'm guessing, is like not as deep. So it could be bridged over, maybe. Anyway, bridge, beach, and urban. Okay. Beach, interesting. And urban, got it. Terrain type affects movement rates and combat. Okay. Although a unit's footprint can encompass many types of terrain, the terrain located directly underneath the unit icon dictates the type of terrain that the unit occupies for game purposes. Oh, interesting. So this is a big abstraction here. Interesting. This could be gamed, for sure. For sure. That's interesting. Yeah, that I would want that to be improved in like a new version of the game. Anyway, the first three terrain types, unrestricted, restricted, and severely restricted, are the official terrain types used by the Army to classify terrain for mobility during IPB. I don't know what IPB stands for. Let's Google that. No, not that. IPB. Intelligence preparation of the battlefield. Got it. So it's like, yeah, got it. The general definition for these terrain types is units moving across unrestricted terrain can do so without any restriction to movement. Restricted terrain hinders movement to some degree and forces units to periodically adjust their speed or tactical formation in order to maneuver through rougher or denser terrain. Severely restricted terrain severely hinders or slows movement in combat formations unless some effort is made to enhance mobility. Okay. Although the Army doesn't ordinarily associate survivability with these three types of terrain, decisive action automatically assigns greater defensive value to each of these three terrain types as they decrease in mobility. Terrain effects on mobility. The order of terrain mobility from fastest to slowest is unrestricted and beach, restricted and urban, severely restricted and bridges, rivers, trafficable only if the unit can conduct an assault crossing, impassable, trafficable only by foot mobile units only. Okay, interesting. Unfordable water, impassable for all ground units. Note, terrain type does not affect aviation movement. Terrain effects on combat. The order of protection that terrain provides defending units during combat from least to greatest is rivers, bridges, and beaches. Rivers, bridges, and beaches. Okay. Unrestricted, restricted, severely restricted and impassable, urban, and fortifications. Okay. Elevation. Decisive Action version 2.0.3 abstractly models elevation in a very simple manner. There are two levels of elevation, 0 and 1. Simple elevation modeling was added in this latest version of the game to replicate the terrain masking that low-flying aircraft use in order to reduce their exposure to enemy ADA. Yeah, for sure. Okay, next. 2.6, movement. A, general. All movement during the movement phase is simultaneous. Units move along planned routes at a rate of march dependent on unit type, mobility, MOP level, that's their like preparation for NBC warfare. So it's like wearing gas masks and stuff. Battlefield friction, unit effectiveness, command and control level, and terrain type. Battlefield friction occurs when friendly units pass through one another's footprint. As in real life, passing through a friendly unit in decisive action takes additional time. Movement planning. To plot a unit's route, select the Plot Movement node and right-click at various waypoints along the unit's planned route. Movement nodes may be adjusted by left-clicking and dragging and dropping the node. Be adjusted. Okay, got it, adjusted. To cancel the route, press the Cancel Movement button. Hint: to minimize battlefield friction and use of game resources, use as few nodes as possible. Okay. Magic movement and off-map movement. During game setup, game turn 0, and within the scenario editor, the magic move and place unit off-map buttons are accessible to the player. To use these features, select the desired unit and right-click to magic move the unit or press place unit off map to place it off the game map. So this is like combat mission. In combat mission, during the setup phase, you can move units immediately within a designated setup area. However, in combat mission, you cannot select units to be moved off the map. That's an interesting feature. Note: all movement commands must be entered on the map with a right-click of the mouse. D. Changing unit facing. When units move, they automatically face the direction of movement. To reorient a stationary unit, press either the face right or face left buttons, and the unit will adjust its current facing by 45 degrees in the desired direction. Okay. 2.7. Air assault operations. A. General. Air assault operations conducted behind enemy lines are high-risk, deep maneuver operations that should only be attempted if the enemy air defenses along the flight route and at the landing zone have been heavily suppressed or destroyed. Unless the air assault is a raid with the intention of recovering the force by another air assault, unless the air assault is a raid with the intention of recovering the force by another air assault, a feasible planned link-up with ground forces is necessary. Oh, okay, so an air assault is when you land ground units via helicopter. Got it. In decisive action, only infantry, towed artillery, engineer, and logistics units can be air assaulted. Got it. Air assault planning. To plan an air assault, first plot the movement of the lift helicopter unit. Okay. Ensure, spelled incorrectly, I don't think you, well, maybe you can spell it with an I. I don't think that's right. I've always seen it spelled E in this context. Anyway, ensure that movement nodes are located next to, on the assaulting ground unit pickup zone and at the planned LZ. Next, press the Select PZ button and follow the directions. Okay, PZ is pickup zone. Select PZ button, got it. Afterwards, you will be prompted on what actions to take to finish planning the air assault. Hint: use cargo helicopters to move logistics convoys forward quickly. Logistics convoys? That seems weird. Can you use a Chinook to, like, lift a 5-ton truck? I've never heard of that. Use cargo helicopters to move logistics convoys forward quickly, or to units that are isolated from the main body. This simulates aerial resupply or the establishment of forward arming and refueling points, FARP, for attack helicopters. Got it. So, okay, so maybe you can't do it in real life, but you're simulating something that you can do in real life. Got it. Conduct airlift. Select the lift unit, and plot a route to the pickup zone. Plot the pickup zone waypoint on the unit you plan to transport. Okay. Number 2, continue plotting a route to the landing zone. Remember, you can plot as many waypoints as you like. In other words, you don't have to go directly from the pickup zone to the landing zone. You may decide on a more detailed route with several waypoints. 3, continue plotting a route to where you plan to land the aviation unit. Okay? At this point, all you are doing is plotting the route for your lift unit. 4, after you've plotted the last waypoint, select the pickup zone icon, arrow pointing up. Okay? 5, now click on the waypoint you would like to designate as the pickup zone. Notice the pickup zone waypoint is now green instead of white. A dialog box will appear prompting you to select a unit to be transported. Okay. In the selection box, choose a unit to be transported. Note sometimes the unit you want to transport will not be listed. Simply cancel and go back to the unit selection box and select the right unit. What does that mean? Cancel and try again? Okay. Click the waypoint you want to use as the LZ. Notice the LZ waypoint is now green instead of white. Okay. 7, click OK and your mission is plotted. This completes the process. Okay, simple enough. 2.8, combat modeling. Ooh, is this a long one? Maybe I'll do this as a separate video. How far am I into this? Oh, this looks like a long one. Let's see how long. Opportunity fire. That's not that long. Seed, counterfire, direct support, airstrikes. I think this is a good one to do as a separate video. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Logistics, game interface. Design scenarios, hints. Okay. Let's do that. I'm going to do that as a separate video. Okay, close this.